Richie, EA Sports upset a lot of people this week, and
They did.
I don't know that we'll include, this podcast is kind of getting long right now anyway, and then we'll probably take up some good time, but I will include a link to our stadium debate in this. I'm not going to make these people listen to an extra 35 minutes on this podcast, I don't think. We'll see. But I will include a link to us arguing about stadiums and listing our top 10 stadiums. But Florida State's rankings came out for the new EA college football video game. Let's do offense first. Offense number 22. They say our offense is an 83 overall. Do you have any thoughts with that? Do you have any quips with that? Do you want to argue about that? What do you think about the offense being number 22 in the country? Is that fair, unfair? Where you at?
So from my standpoint, I think that's fair. I really do. We have a lot of potentially untapped potential, which we talk about, the Malik Bensons and DJU and what could be. And this offense could be, in my opinion, legitimately top 6 or 7 in the country. But we don't have we don't have what's seen on the field yet to get there. So I'm okay with it. I do think top 25 is definite, is where it should be. But I'm not going to get upset that we're not top 10, top 15. 22, if I really want to get upset, I could see myself saying, we should be top 20, but I do think it is genuinely fair. But yeah, it hurts a little bit because I think if you put the Norvell factor into it, then you're automatically top 15. He's one of the best offensive minds in the country. I'd say top 3, and you'd be hard pressed to argue number 1 or 2 against me. I think Norvell is that good as an offensive coach, but I'm not upset based on the players we have right now. Again, a ton of potential, but not the production.
So I'm gonna agree with you. But then I'm gonna disagree too, right? I'm gonna play devil's advocate with myself. Of course. So here's why I agree with what you're saying. If it's players only, then I guess I understand it. You're just ranking the players. You're not ranking the system or the scheme or the coach or how they'll be used or their effectiveness or anything like that. So I guess by that metric alone, I guess I'm okay with it. The big problem that I have is that I just don't think the ratings are very consistent. Because again, you have to see, like exactly what you said. You have to see it on the field. And I don't understand if the metric is you have to see it on the field. I don't understand how Miami's number 7.
No, that makes no sense at all. No sense.
I don't understand how Ole Miss is all the way down at 13. Why are they not higher?
They should be top 5. Yeah.
I don't understand how UCF and SMU and Memphis are ahead of us. There are 3 teams ahead. Well, 2 teams that are, UCF is 1 ahead, and then Memphis and SMU are right above. I mean, we're going to stomp SMU and Memphis this year. And then maybe rankings get revisited. And so UCF right ahead, that's kind of weird to me. Notre Dame with a transfer quarterback, NC State with a transfer quarterback, both ahead. So I just, Clemson at number 10. I don't think Clemson's close to number 10.
No.
So again, in a vacuum, like by itself, FSU at 22, I'm not going to, but like the stuff around it is just what doesn't make sense to me. Yeah. Now that said, Florida State was like 17. Like to me, that kind of feels a little bit better than 22, right? You're like, oh, well, we're top 20. We're right there. It doesn't matter. Obviously, this is so stupid to even argue about. But yeah, I think there's some, again, it's kind of the teams that are right around us that kind of give me pause and make me say like, wait a minute, are they really Colorado number 8?
Get the hell out of here.
Yeah. So Florida State at 22 by themselves, that's fine. When you look at everything else, Florida State at 22, stupid to me. That's my take. I don't think that's a bad take.
I don't disagree because Colorado is ridiculous. Miami is ridiculous. And I could get up on a debate stage like we saw Thursday night and give a pretty good performance about what happened.
Slow down.
but no, seriously, like some of these are ridiculous. I guess my takeaway was Florida State at 22. If you tell me we're a top 25 offense with the potential to be much better, I'd agree with that.
Yeah. So defense, a little bit better here. Florida State's number 11.
Adam Fuller, stand up.
Yeah. Florida State listed at 11, basically tied for 8th. They've got the same rating as the 8th place team on defense. I think this is a little bit better. The defense is ahead of them. Are there any of these that you don't agree with? Ohio State, I agree. Georgia, I agree. Oregon, I agree. Alabama, I agree. Clemson, I think Clemson's defense is still better than ours. Yep. Notre Dame, that's a little hairy for me.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think they're they're back 7. I would give. I think defensive line is us, but that's fine. Michigan, I agree with. Texas, that's kind of hairy to me, but Texas is actually a team we're tied with. So Texas, Penn State, Utah, Florida State, Oklahoma, and Iowa all have the same defensive rating at 88. I actually think Iowa should probably be a little bit higher, but I'm not going to. So the teams that truly are higher than us, Michigan, Notre Dame, Clemson, Alabama, Oregon, Georgia, Ohio State. I mean, Notre Dame is maybe the one that I could squabble with, but not enough to care, right? Like, I'm like, yeah, whatever. They're a 90, we're an 88. But yeah, I think a pretty good defensive ranking. And I have less problems with the defensive rankings until you get down to the bottom. USC at 16, that's terrible. LSU at 18, that's terrible. Colorado at 20.
TJ, USC is 16?
Yeah. USC,
they should not be top 50.
And again, I guess that's if you're going like players only. Like these were highly recruited players, but like, come on, man, you got to think about this a little bit. Colorado, number 20, they were awful defensively last year.
Yeah.
Florida,
all those old pack teams.
Florida, number 25. They were brutal defensively.
I can't name a single player on Florida's defensive starting 11.
Their own fans were laughing at this when it came out. Like, who did we pay off? Like, that's not even me trolling Florida.
Yeah.
Their own fans were like, who the hell did we pay off to get this rating? And so Florida at 25, that doesn't. But Colorado takes the cake to me. Number 20, that's Colorado.
The joke.
That is hilarious. LSU couldn't stop a nosebleed last year. They gave up like 40 points to Florida.
At least they have talent. At least they have the talent. They'll figure it out. I'll give LSU the benefit of the doubt before I ever give, Colorado or Florida the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, it is insane, and I don't understand that one. But as far as Florida State, basically a top 8 defense, I think that's really fair, especially considering what Florida State lost. I think they're going to be really good, but again, you need to see it on the field. And bold prediction, we're not 2 bold predictions yet. We'll do that in August. It's coming soon. I love that. Oh, we need to revisit last year's. I don't even remember what last year's were. Got to go find them. But
I think I hit on most of them, actually.
Well, we went 13-0. You better have. I think we probably both went 6 for 6. How much could you miss on?
Fair.
Yeah. Unless somebody had us in the playoff, but
which we should have been. I digress.
I'm counting that as a win. Bold prediction: Florida State it finishes with a top 5 rating on defense this year. So I'm excited for it.
I don't know if that's that bold because when you think about defense and offense, quite frankly, it's all about the trenches. Man, I don't know. I'm sure there is 1 or 2. But there's very, very, very few defensive lines I would love to go to battle with more than Florida State. Like what Florida State has on the when you talk about Marvin Jones Jr., Patrick Payton on the outside, and then you get Jackson and Farmer on the inside. I mean, that is ridiculous. That is insane. That might be legitimately the best front 4 in the country. And I know there's a lot to be desired at linebacker. But that secondary is ridiculously talented as well. So, okay, our linebackers are suspect. We get that. But you have an elite defensive line and elite secondary. We'll figure it out in the middle.
Yeah, and I will say, to be fair to Florida State, they play 2 linebackers a lot. And I really do have confidence in DJ Lundy. And so it's like, can whoever's on the field with Lundy, which he's going to need a break from time to time, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
But can whoever's on the field with Lundy, whether it be Juice Cryer, whether it be Cam Riley, I think a lot of people forget about the Cam Riley transfer, which I think is really, really big. Can it, I don't have the most confidence in Graham, but can Graham do it? Can Blake Nicholson jump in and do some stuff? So can just one of the guys with Lundy be really, really effective? And I think Juice Cryer had a really good Orange Bowl. I know not many people had a really good Orange Bowl, but I thought he played really well, tackling everywhere. If Cryer and Lundy are your two go-tos, that you're kind of like counting on, yeah, I think that's solid, and I think they'll be able to do some stuff. So, okay, so overall they came in 12th, which again, their overall ranking is 88. That would be tied with 9th, right? You're tied with Penn State, Utah, Michigan, Florida State, Miami also at 88, A&M at 88, Ole Miss at 88. Think about the teams ahead of Florida State.
Colorado at 16.
Oh, that one's stupid. Yeah,
what is going on here?
I got thoughts there in a minute, but think about the teams ahead of Florida State from a talent perspective. I don't know that I can disagree with any of them. Georgia for sure, Ohio State for sure, Oregon, Alabama, Texas for sure. Clemson slightly ahead of Florida State talent-wise. I mean, I think I'm okay with that.
I disagree. No, yeah. I disagree.
You disagree talent-wise?
Yeah, I do.
I think if you're just looking at ratings, like rankings, I think they're a little deeper than Florida State.
I don't know. Like we might disagree there, and that's fine. It's great that we don't always agree, but I think Dabo's refusal to use the transfer portal is going to be his downfall, and I think it shows up. So I'm sure if you look at the 247 talent composite, Clemson's probably ahead of Florida State, which they should be.
That's where I'm at. I think Florida State's a better team, but like for things you can't factor into rankings, culture, coaching.
Fair. That's fair.
Things like that. So I agree with you. I think on everything you were going to say, but I'm also okay with them like having them one tick ahead of Florida State just on total like player rankings.
Yeah, just two points overall.
Yeah, like. What would be cool about this game, and maybe this has already been answered, but what would be cool about this game is like some of those things that I'm talking about, just the culture, the way that, like, remember coaches' skill trees? The skill trees, is Mike Norvell's skill tree, now Dabo's is accomplished, but like skill trees are like, what have you done for me lately? I think, right? So Dabo's recruiting one is probably going to be phenomenal, but like his in-game stuff, like his coordinator ones, like Fuller's skill tree, and do you remember with the skill trees, like if you X'd this, that, or that up, like if you plus stuff up with your skill tree, you'd get like +3 attributes for all road games, or you'd get +3 attributes for all rivalry games. If you maxed out air defender, your DBs would all get a +2 for any time you played, right? And so if the skill trees are similar, as they were back in the day, then that's the way that Florida State, talent for talent, is an 88 and Clemson's a 90. But when they actually both meet on the field, Florida State's a 92 and Clemson's a 91.
Yeah,
I'm fired up for this stupid game.
the only team that I have a problem with being ranked ahead of Florida State, even though we have the same rating at 88, is Utah. I'm sorry. Like I like Kyle Whittingham. I think he's a phenomenal coach.
We would smoke Utah head to head.
Mike Norvell's better, and Florida State would win big. And in the fact that let's just jump into it, TJ. I love Deion Sanders. I'm a huge fan. He's a huge reason I'm a fan of Florida State. They're an 87 and we're an 88. We would beat them by 35 points. It would not be close. With Shadur and Travis Hunter, who are both very talented players, they just do not have the players around them to compete with a team like Florida State, who, again, is not as deep as I'd like us to be. But we certainly have that frontline talent that is going to do what we have to do to potentially make the playoff this year, which I think we will. That's an episode a few weeks away, but man, like Colorado, what are we doing? A&M, what are we doing here? Ole Miss, underrated in my opinion. 88, I'd put them at a 90. I'm just so happy this college football game is back because it gives us something to talk about, and I'm so excited. And when it drops, you and I and thousands of people listening to us will be playing this for hours on a day, and hopefully none of us get divorced, but our wives may consider it.
Yeah, it is insane how tied into this game we're going to be. But you're right though. Like there's some weird stuff in this. Like again, Miami at 88 overall. I think that's a little bit of a misread. I think Iowa at 25 is too low. I think that Colorado at 16 is asinine. Colorado. I want Colorado to make a bowl because I think that'd be fun. Like I know people hate Dion and stuff, but that's fine. I want Colorado to make a bowl. Like I want them. Shoot, I want
like
Colorado to
Dion.
win.
I still
want
like
Colorado
Dion.
to win every game they play. I know that annoys people, but whatever, right? Like I mean, whatever. They're not going to make. I don't think they're going to go 500. And so to have them at 16, that's just I don't know. I hate that. USC at 19, that's high. I think there's just dumb stuff in here. Virginia Tech at 20. The Virginia Tech's ahead of NC State. Like what? How?
NC State will boat race them.
That's crazy. NC State's way better. Louisville's not in this. Like Louisville is, and I don't think Louisville's like world beaters or anything, but like Louisville's
top
behind
25.
Virginia Tech and NC State. I think that's off. I don't agree with that. So, all right. I think that's our, but anyway, appreciate the love, EA. If you want to hear us rant more, again, I will include a link to the stadiums where we talked for 35 minutes on why this stadium's atmosphere beats that one or this, that, and the other. So
I was not biased at all. I was not biased at all.
Richie was so biased he included Florida State twice. So there's your spoiler.